Welcome, everyone, today is February 1st, 2022, and this is the Cottonwood Heights City Council business meeting. Thank you for being here with us today. We are going to begin our meeting tonight with a Pledge of Allegiance, and we've asked Councilmember Bracken if he would lead us in that.
Please stand.
Thank you, Councilmember Bracken. So the next item on our agenda might be my most favorite item that we have in the next 4 years. So we are honored today to have, first off, our beloved mayor, Mike Peterson, here with us. And we have our representative from the state legislature, Galen Benyon, is here. And I'm going to invite both of you to come up at this time, and she's going to do a citation in honor to our great mayor.
Look like the same microphones we have at the Capitol. Okay, I'm glad to be here with you today. I know Mike as our mayor, but also as my neighbor. He and I share a fence line, and he's just a tremendous neighbor. With that fence, we had an incident where it became apparent it needed to be fixed, and it was kind of the day it was happening. And he was so gracious in understanding and being patient with us. And I used to be a Webelos leader, and I asked him to come and talk with our Webelos, and he came right away. He's just a great person. The other thing I was thinking about is too often, I think, as citizens, we don't get involved. And Mike is the epitome of stepping outside of his comfort zone and always looking for ways to be involved. And I hope more of our citizens follow his example in doing that. And if they see problems, not giving up, just getting involved. So I have here a flag. This flag was flown over the Utah State Capitol building on the 25th day of January 2022 in recognition of Mayor Michael J. Peterson. The Utah House of Representatives honors him for his decades-long dedication to his community and public service. I have this flag that I will give to Mike. And then I have this citation that is signed by myself and by the Speaker of the House. The House of Representatives official citation honoring Mayor Michael J. Peterson. In recognition of Mayor Michael J. Peterson, the Utah House of Representatives honors him for his decades-long dedication to his community and public service. A native of Cottonwood Heights, Mike had an idyllic childhood growing up near the mouth of the Cottonwood Canyons. Early in his career, Mike fell in love with recreation work and chose to focus on parks and recreation administration. He worked 26 years for the Salt Lake County, leading the Parks and Recreation Department as Director for Aging Services and as Director of Criminal Justice Services. While there, his leadership in the inaugural Youth Drug Court in Utah was a profound experience for him and enabled him to touch the lives of many youth. Mike also spent 15 years working with the Cottonwood Heights Parks and Recreation Service area. Additionally, Mike has served in political capacities for the city of Cottonwood Heights as a council member for District 3, and in 2019 was elected as mayor. Mayor Peterson held the esteem of the vast majority of the Cottonwood Heights residents and garnered a reputation for working well with everyone and bringing people together. He is perhaps best remembered for his characteristic to focus on listening to the needs of those around him. Mike is married to Charlene, his wife of more than 50 years, and they have 5 children. We wish Mike well in retirement and hope that he is able to enjoy a lot of quality time with those he enjoys most. The Utah House of Representatives recognizes Mayor Peterson for his exemplary career in public service in the many capacities in which he has contributed and left an enduring legacy.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have to say something. First of all, you three people look really good up here. You look really good. Thank you, Galen. Thank you for the council for allowing me to share part of your agenda. Of course, the recognition touches my heart and is greatly appreciated. It's been bittersweet retiring for the third time, but I wish you the best, and you've got a great staff, a great city. It was an honor to be mayor once again. So Galen, thank you for your service, and thank you for allowing me to receive this recognition. I mean, the citizens have been so gracious as I've transitioned out. It's just, I get emotional to think about it. But also I'd like to recognize Sean Newell and his mask. He has the right letter on it. So that's also appropriate. But no, and also is thank you, and we'll be in touch, and thank you.
We're appreciative of Representative Benyon for she initiated this, and Mayor Peterson, you are beloved by this council, and thank you for all that you do, and your wife Charlene, thank you. Okay, we will move on to the next item on our agenda tonight, and that is our citizen comment period. I am going to just read a statement in regards to this if I can. This is a time for our citizens to address the council concerning whatever matters that they desire. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. Please review the public comment procedures on the last page of tonight's agenda. If you haven't already filled out a speaker comment card, please do so and hand it to a staff member who will get it to me. When making citizen comments, we request that you speak into the microphone so that your comments can be recorded, that you give your name, and that you avoid insulting language or comments. The audience should avoid expressions of support or disagreement, such as clapping, hissing, whatever, so that all speakers will feel like they can safely express all of their thoughts. The council is here to listen, but you shouldn't expect to engage in a back and forth tonight dialogue. If you raise questions, our staff will respond to you within a few business days to discuss your questions and to provide responses. Information. Having said that, the first comment card that I have tonight is from Nancy Hardy. We would invite you up to the it's been a little bit.
Hi, my name is Nancy Hardy, and first of all, I'd like to welcome new mayor and 2 new city council people. That's great. So I just have a couple things I wanted to ask. I was listening to a meeting a couple weeks ago, and a citizen asked a question, and this is how it usually goes. They said that they'll get back with that person with the answer. And when I was listening, I thought, oh, I'd like to know the answer to that question too. I didn't know if something has been put in place or if an answer that a citizen asks at the meetings could be posted on with the minutes in case there's people out there listening, or even people in here that would like to know an answer, or something I had mentioned in the past. Maybe there could be a quarterly Q&A possibly with everybody, if anybody had any just questions that they could get answers to. And also I sent a letter this afternoon to y'all about Big Cottonwood Canyon that I've noticed this year is really, really busy with skiers and snowboarders. And I've just noticed that because I'm a big skier. And so I didn't know if UDOT is looking at making their decision soon, but if they would consider there's a big change this year than in the past, and the gondola and the widening of Little Cottonwood and maybe Wasatch Boulevard needs to be relooked at if, we never know from year to year. And now there's not much new snow, so there's always changes. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. That Tim and I will discuss it. I think that's actually a really good question. Where do questions that get answered outside of the meeting, where can people obtain? That's actually a really good point, and we'll make a point to make sure that you understand where you find them. Thank you. Our next comment is from Beckett Harris.
Hi, I'm Beckett Harris. I just want to talk about Wasatch Road and what changes to the road could do, and what I think needs to be changed about the road to make it more accessible for our community. So as a kid, before I was able to drive, I'd have to use Wasatch Road to get to the park or to get to Smith's, and there's like no sidewalk on it, and it's 50-mile-per-hour speed limits. It makes it extremely hard to get to pretty much any of the public areas, especially if so. I think that if we are going to change Wasatch, we need to add in sidewalks or some form of path that we can use to protect pedestrians and to protect bikers, so that people who can't drive can get around. Because if our neighborhoods aren't made accessible for everyone to use, even those who can't drive, then what happens is, a kid can't walk to his friend's house, and what's he going to do? He's going to stay inside. He's going to have to wait for his mom every single time to go to his friend's house. He's basically just going to be trapped in his house with nothing to do but to just, sit around. And I think that promotes a very unhealthy lifestyle for, kids. It promotes being very sedentary. And then also, like, for mental health, that's not good if you can't access, the parks, or you can't access your friends' homes. So I think that we need to really put some thought into addressing the situation on Wasatch and on Danish and on many of the roads here that have no form of walkable area or bikeable area. Thank you.
Beckett, thank you. I'm actually really appreciative, but I know that's probably a little bit nerve-wracking thing to do, up in front of a lot of adults. So thank you for participating, and your comments 100% are going to be taken under consideration. Just as a comment, we do have a Wasatch Boulevard master plan inside of our general plan that specifically we have submitted to UDOT in regards to what we really hope that they will consider in regards to speed and walkability and active transportation and things that are really important to our citizens. And so I hope that everybody will understand that we have made that consideration with UDOT, and we hope that they'll, when they do decide here fairly soon, that they'll follow what we recommend. So thank you, Beckett, again. Mickey Harris.
Hi, no surprise that was my son.
How old is Beckett?
He's 18 and
Great.
he's going to the U, so we're excited for him. I would like to share a story with Beckett. I remember when he was a scout, and Galen, you had said, when these scouts, it was really important to him because we also are kind of an island with Danish and Wasatch. And I remember a city council member at the time coming to talk to him about it, and he raised his hand. He says, I can't walk on Danish without it being safe. And I remember the council member said, well, we don't have enough funds to make those sidewalks happen. But for me, I think a death versus finding some funds to make our community safe and walkable for our kids is way more important. And this just in, this happened last week. A Weber State University police officer hit and killed a 69-year-old pedestrian who was crossing a well-lit street last week. Washington Boulevard in Ogden is US 89. It is owned and operated by UDOT, which gives pedestrians less time to cross the road at intersections than the national standard. The agency prefers putting pedestrians in harm's way rather than making drivers wait. And that is my overall point, is waiting 2 minutes versus slowing down the speed to 35 on Wasatch, making sure that we're monitoring Danish are way more important than getting to a place faster. And I know UDOT is kind of this Goliath, but I really feel like this is an important issue that's going to take some time. And if it just keeps getting pushed back, we're going to run out of time to get those in place. So I appreciate you, Mayor, for making this in the master plan and starting talks with UDOT. And I know O2 supported you. I remember talking with you with all the elections. So I really hope you know our concern as citizens to really fight back on this, because I think it's really going to tear our community apart if we do not put things in place. Thanks.
Thank you, Mickey. Appreciate your comments. It might be interesting for you to know that during our work session today, we had our senior planner, Andy Hoka, who presented a Mid-Valley active transportation plan, which includes 6 cities, including Cottonwood Heights, that are all working together to work on active transportation. And so it's an important part and something that we feel that obviously we want safe streets for our residents. So thank you. You might want to go back and watch that. There were some interesting comments. Thank you. So our next comment is Ellen Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council, for allowing me to give you this brief presentation. In the month since I last spoke here regarding street safety on Creek and Danish roads, there was a temporary increase in police patrols. Thank you. And also 2 flashing stop signs were installed today, which was nice. Good first step. We all thank you for that. I'd like to give you some ideas to ponder in the next year. Cottonwood Heights is known as the city between the canyons, and that sounds quaint, as if there were countless places to hang out in a serene environment. But, and it pains me to say this, there's too much concrete and asphalt. I try to find a restaurant with an outdoor seating area that doesn't look onto a parking lot or a busy street. A community thrives when there are open spaces to congregate. We have few trails that we can walk on with safety, as the previous speakers have noted, on the streets as well. One trail is near Old Mill. It starts out nice along the river with small painted rocks, and it's quiet, but it's short. It's only 10 minutes. And then the western section looks over a dam, Utah maintenance area, until one passes behind restaurants and garbage bins, crosses a major street, and continues behind more restaurants and along concrete parking structures and a freeway overpass. So it's hardly a quaint description of a city trail. According to my estimates on Google Maps, the city cemetery over here is larger than all city parks. It's the largest, except for Crestwood. But unfortunately, Crestwood is not exactly the most pretty park. Even in summer, the colors are muted and it lacks diverse flora. There are no gardens, no art. I walked my dog there last week and I randomly spoke to 3 people. I said, wouldn't it be nice for the city to plant flowers and trees and revitalize the vegetation? 2 said yes, and 1 said, and I quote, no, I want it to remain ugly so more people won't come. In other words, keep visitors away from my backyard. I get it. The Ferguson Trail is quite scenic, but the parking areas are real small. So what's most disconcerting for me is that street parking is restricted at the trailhead, even for me, a taxpayer and local resident. So if the city council can do that, they can certainly make changes to the streets, as the previous speakers have said. And I'll bet that the bulk of the of the passersby, the traffic that goes along these roads don't contribute a lot to our business community. They're not stopping, they're not buying anything. They're just going, they're using it as just a way to get from one place to the other. So in the coming years, we ask you, try to prioritize making Cottonwood Heights more livable, quiet, and safe. Let's work together to reclaim the community aspect of our city. I have here, thank you. I have here the application for a preliminary assessment of traffic conditions along Danish Road with the signatures, required signatures. Shall I give it to Tim? Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ellen. Appreciate those comments. The next person is Robert Tomsky.
Good evening. Robert Tomsky. I reside on Hidden Oak Drive, the island between Wasatch and Danish. I bike my husky almost every day because, as we know, huskies really need the exercise. We used to bike down Wasatch because he could just run and run nonstop. We do not bike down Wasatch anymore because it is not safe for us. We were almost hit 3 times due to what I believe is high speeds and traffic combined with distracted driving, which are going down basically residential streets. It's extremely dangerous for pedestrians. I now bike and run my husky down Danish Road with even the posted 25-mile-an-hour speed limits also has high speeds from vehicles. I'm speaking specifically to stretch from Wasatch down to Creek. We nearly got hit twice there too because the sidewalks disappear and the amount of room with people walking, and then we get off the sidewalk and go onto the shoulder so pedestrians can walk by. It's very dangerous. I've been told by my neighbors that numerous accidents and close calls for years down Danish with people walking and biking. We have parents with their kids and strollers. It's a nice pedestrian walkway for us. Skier and border overflow traffic from Wasatch down Danish, especially on powder days, which hopefully comes really soon again, is absolutely insane. Google Maps will redirect you down Danish when Wasatch is either closed or blocked off. I have photos of a standstill on Danish as far as the eye can see both directions because Little Cotton Canyon was closed. Danish is being used as a shortcut, and I believe that both the elevation drop and, unfortunately, it's a beautiful road, so the speeds just increase dramatically. Then add the exits, regular and emergency during these time periods for we residents. It's next to impossible to get out. Excuse me. I've called Cottonwood Heights Police a couple of times reporting these incidences. I've also requested a speed trailer that was deployed last week. Thank you. I believe it was out for 3 days, over 1,200 vehicles. 85% of the vehicles were 35 and below. So that leaves about 191 vehicles in a 3-day period going faster than 35 miles an hour. I also have a petition to do a speed study down Danish. And I'm urging you to quickly do this. I understand UDOT and I appreciate it, but if you can repeal ordinance 14.12.090 section F, that would be a great start for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate that. Next, we'll have Teresa Heinrich. Come on up.
My name is Teresa Heinrich, and I'm here to sort of address the same thing that a lot of people have already talked about it, and that's the speed between Big Cottonwood and Little Cottonwood. I do a lot of walking and running there, so I decided to do a little experiment. So for the last 3 weeks, the flashing sign on the west side of the road at the Lakai turnoff has been broken. It hasn't been working. It's just flashing. It's solar powered. And so anyway, I've called UDOT. I called Cottonwood Heights. I found out that's UDOT sign. And then I also called Cottonwood Heights, and you brought one of those portable trailers there. And so I went there today. It's not working, that portable trailer. I don't know if you forgot to turn it on or what's going on. But anyway, I didn't know if you knew it, but the engineer from UDOT called me and said that the flashing sign, I stood there with my paper and pencil, and as people were coming by, I said, okay, 42, the speed limit is 50, 45, 46. Everybody was going under the speed limit. The thing that happens is that if you go over 50 or over, a sign just flashes that says slow down. So UDOT told me that they've done a study in the United States, and they said that if people see that they've exceeded the limit and it says 52 or 53, that they gun it and they will go faster, which was kind of interesting. So anyway, they decided just to leave it that way and flash that you're going too fast, to slow down. So I'm just hoping that maybe if you could put a trailer on the other side of the road, on the west side of the road also, for traffic going southbound. And then if you fix the one going northbound, that would really help. And also, I was wondering if you do decide to, you said you already submitted something to UDOT about what the road's going to look like.
Yes.
So if on the other side of 9800 South, going south on Wasatch, they have a median strip, they have plants, the speed limit's 35. The police give tickets there all the time.
That's enough.
So if we could have something like that, if you do something to Wasatch Boulevard,
Median.
median would be great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Did you want to say anything, Robbie?
Yes, as to your concern about the trailer, it is actually working. We just don't have the flashing lights there. We're conducting a traffic survey so we can identify the various speeds and the time of day. And it's intentional because I don't want people to go by and intentionally slow down or the car behind it slow down. I want to accurately record their speed. So I turned it off so that I can get a good survey. It's working. You just can't see it's working. Yeah, we can turn it on but that defeats the purpose of what I'm trying to measure the actual and factual speeds of the people that are going there. They get the data before we can decide what to do. I don't want people to artificially slow down or what you talked about, speed up. I need to know the actual speed. So it's on. And we're happy to share that data when we get it.
Thank you, Chief. Jeff Chatlin is next.
Jeff Chatlin, Racket Club Circle. I think you guys have heard me speak before. Chief, thanks for responding to emails from our neighbors and concerned citizens and city council. Sadly, I wanted to talk about the expansion approval of Canyon Center Apartments and the impact that will have and the total disagreement that the community has with an appeal officer decision. 14 pages worth of appeal officer comments. The city council, or excuse me, the planning commission voted 5-1 against the expansion. The developer purchased that property with a number of units in mind, and he's taken advantage, as his attorney has documented, saying the sins of the past. And that's a sad day to hear an attorney for a developer criticizing our past mistakes. We are very concerned with the traffic study that's still being used. It's archaic, it's outdated. We've talked about it. The codes mentioned that the city engineer will conduct new surveys. We've grown. This survey or this traffic study is old. I believe the first one is in 2011, the second one in 2016. All they do is piggyback off of these old studies. I mentioned last time I was able to speak, we've grown. We've added restaurants, hotels, gravel pit, office buildings, David Weekley condos. We're adding so many elements to our city Everyone loves to live here. Our growth has doubled. We're ignoring what we've approved. We've approved and approved and approved. We're totally disregarding the neighborhoods that surround Canyon Center. Thankfully, we got street signs 3 or 4 days ago. That took a lot of years to put up signs on that road. They're in, thanks to Danny Martinez. I've talked to Chris McCandless, great. What we're concerned with is our traffic study is terrible. A 5-to-1 vote that is overturned by one person in a pretty private meeting. There were only 3 people in the room. I was here. Single-handedly overturning and basically telling the commission or planning commission they don't know what they're doing, that they didn't take the appropriate measures. How are we supposed to depend on that commission in the future when one person single-handedly overturned their decision and told 5 people out of 6 they're wrong and they didn't take the appropriate action? Please, just can we figure that out? Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. I do want to let you know that in our retreat that the city council and mayor does every year, this past week, we actually approved the commission of a new study. So we are going to do an enhanced study of Wasatch Boulevard and Portland Boulevard, that intersection in that area. And that process is already now getting started. It looks like our last comment tonight is from, hopefully I'll pronounce this, Riza Ahmadi. Did I say that right?
Good evening. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you here tonight. And just for context, I'm a resident of Cottonwood Heights, and I live near Little Cottonwood Canyon where Wasatch and Danish meet. And my intent in coming here tonight was to relay some of my experience around Wasatch Boulevard, and some of that has already been shared. But having heard some of the comments and being somewhat new to the area, I've been a resident for 5 years, I want to expand that and maybe provide a broader picture. And I've noticed in this 5 years, and I travel these roads daily, that overall traffic has increased. We've grown, it's already been noted. And in general, the areas that surround the canyons essentially feel like neighborhood roads that are now being treated as highways. And oftentimes by a lot of aggressive drivers that are extremely eager to get up to the mountains or do what it is that they're doing, right? So starting from that point, where I'm coming from is here, listening to some of my fellow residents and my neighbors, right? Is essentially that the Wasatch Boulevard area and Danish and where they meet is a big concern. It comes up in practically every neighborhood conversation I have. I have a little Bernie doodle now that I walk around the environment, and I've firsthand now experienced how difficult it is as a pedestrian just to simply walk your dog in those areas. But it goes beyond that. That road, Wasatch, is straight up simply unsafe, right? We've talked about the pedestrian component of it, but just if you think about it from a driver's standpoint, just in the last month, we already had a crash that I think all of us know about, and there's been other ones further down the road, right? But just in the last month, I've had 3 near incidents on that road. One of them being, a potential head-on collision, which I had to pull off the side of the road slightly for, right? The road is simply not meant to take the level of traffic and the speeds that it's meant to handle. So I know that there's master planning been, done, and I know that you just mentioned the traffic studies, and I appreciate all that. What I just want to stress is that this is a very important issue. It goes beyond just Cottonwood Heights residents. It's our community. Those are world-class destinations. They bring everybody from the valley and beyond, right? This is something we need to take care of for us, for our community, for our city, because it's going to be a key for many years to come, right? So I am not here speaking against any development or anything, any growth or anything of that sort. What I'm here to talk about is that we match development and the money and revenue we want to bring into the city with the infrastructure that can handle it and be responsible to the communities and the people who live here while giving access in a comfortable and a responsible way to everybody who wants to come here, right? From the valley and beyond. So what I ask of you is that you stay vigilant, you know, and really as mayor and council, do everything that we can to press forward local ordinances, anything we can do to apply pressure to promote the type of community and long-term sort of viability we want for Cottonwood Heights. Thank you.
Thank you, Riza. I appreciate those comments. Stay tuned. We actually have a couple of ordinances that we're going to be looking at. Thank you. I appreciate those comments. This is an important issue. Our streets and speeds are there's nothing more important to the council. And I want you to know that we're aware of them. And we I don't know if you know, we work a lot with we go up to the legislature where Representative Benyon is, and we work really hard to make sure that we're not mandated upon what we have to do. So we're constant communication, and we have lobbyists that are working on our behalf to make sure that we have control. But thank you. Very informative. Thank you. So I do not have any other comments. Anything, Tim, online?
It doesn't look like there's anyone online. There were some comments that were submitted today and previously this week that I want to have as part of the record, just so it's known. I have one from Andrea and Cliff Orton, and they're communicating related to the concerns on Wasatch. Actually, each of these are that. And so these will be part of the record for the audience to be aware of, and also for these individuals. I also have a Jan Kennington expressing those concerns, John Kennington as well, and Elizabeth Bartlett and Fred Bartlett. So these comments that they've submitted will be forwarded to the council as part of the public input and will be part of the record. So I'm reading those into the record.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, one more. Yep, come on up. State your name for us.
My name's Leslie Kovach. I'm also a resident of Cottonwood Heights. I'm coming here to speak with you because I'm asking Cottonwood Heights City Council to do better. I'm asking you, I've met with Robbie Russo. I live above Wasatch Boulevard. Today alone, 6 Jake breaks going down Wasatch Boulevard. I know that we can't catch them every time, but I'm asking you to do better. I'm asking for signs to be on Wasatch Boulevard. I am asking for speed limit signs to be on Wasatch Boulevard. I am well aware that UDOT is involved in this, but we as a city, as a resident who works out of her home, cannot work effectively listening to the amount of traffic, the amount of development. This is what we're all talking about today, is the development that goes on in the city, the development and the traffic. I haven't even touched on the neighborhood that thankfully Mr. Russo's police officers have come up and stopped people from driving through my neighborhood to get to Big Cottonwood. I need help. Our city needs help. We need you all to step up. Make sure that Cottonwood Heights resolutions for speed, traffic, and development are being pursued. Please help the residents who live here. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. We appreciate your passion. And with that, we will close our citizen comment period. The next item on our agenda is our action items. We have 5 legislative actions to go through tonight. The first one is 5.1, which is consideration of resolution 2022-08, approving appointments to the Art Council. Tim, do you want to?
Yes. These are 2 reappointments, and we're excited that they are willing to continue to serve. One is Joy Hendrickson and the other is Laura Garcia. Laura met with us in the work session. They do exceptional work on this committee, the Arts Council, and we're so glad that they're willing to serve, and we're recommending approval of these reappointments.
Thanks, Tim. I will now call for a motion.
I'll move to approve the appointments for the Arts Council based on resolution 2022-08.
I'll second that.
Thank you. I've moved to approve from Councilmember Newell and a second from Councilmember Peterson. That I will call for a vote. Councilmember Peterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bracken,
Yes.
Councilmember Newell,
Yes.
Councilmember Burrell,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. Next on our, the next item on our list is consideration of resolution 2022-09 -A, which is the opportunity to declare a parking permit area on a portion of Racket Club Drive, or to consider resolution 2022-09-D, which would deny the declaration of a parking permit area on a portion of Racket Club Drive. Mike, do you want to come and address that for us?
Thanks, Mayor. We've reviewed this, held public hearing previously, so I don't have the presentation up, but this is a petition following 11.20 of the city code that allows the council to consider petitions for resident-only permit parking, but only if certain criteria are met. In the previous staff analysis that's been presented and staff reports that have been distributed, staff feels that in this area, those criteria are not met. So we have recommended against approving this petition. However, and I'm sure Matt Ship can provide an update as well, and you've mentioned it, we are in the early phases of starting a city-initiated traffic study that goes beyond what's been done previously and goes into more detail. We had a kickoff meeting this morning with a traffic engineering firm to get that started. So we are looking at alternatives there that should address some of the concerns we're hearing and concerns over the impact of the full built out future development there.
Thank you. And I have been in discussion with the petitioner about some of the other options that we're going to look at for them. So with that, I will entertain a motion. First, is there any other comments or questions?
No, I don't have one. I was going through resolution 2022-09.
I'll second that, Mayor.
Having said that, I will, any other comments or questions before we go to a vote?
I think with the new information, as things progress through there, certainly not a dead, probably right.
And before we take that to the vote, I just want to make the comment that I very much recognize the concern of residents for the roads and parking and challenges that we have. And so the council will continue to work on this, though we don't want to deprive the public from being able to park on public streets. So make sure the public is aware that that's a strong consideration for us when we look at putting private permits on our public curbs. It's a grave concern to many of us.
Thank you. Does that include a second?
And I will second the motion. Oh, we had a second.
Okay.
We can third it if you'd like to.
Okay. And I will now call for the vote on 2022-09-D. Councilmember Bracken.
Yes.
Councilmember Newell.
Yes.
Member Burrell.
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson.
Yes.
I will. The next item on our list tonight is a consideration of resolution 2022-10, accepting a request for defense and indemnification. him, or do we want to Robbie or Shane?
The Governmental Immunity Act of Utah is the series of statutes that govern when and how local governmental entities in Utah can be sued. And one of the provisions of the Governmental Immunity Act is to the effect that governmental employees who are sued because of what they have done during the course and scope of their employment are entitled to defense and indemnity from their employer, the governmental entity. They need to file a written request for that defense and indemnity, and then the governing body of the governmental entity has to respond to that request within 10 days. These next two resolutions, the first is in relation to a lawsuit that was filed against the city in November of 2021 concerning the police response to an alleged domestic disturbance at an extended stay hotel in the city in December 2018. That original complaint has been amended to include Chief Russo, who was not named in the initial lawsuit. Chief Russo has filed a request for defense and indemnity with the city, as is his right under the Immunity Act. And so the purpose of this resolution is to address that.
Thank you, Shane. I appreciate that. So having said that, I will call for a motion.
So I'll move to accept the request for defense and indemnification concerning resolution 2022-10.
One second.
Great. We have a move to approve from Councilmember Newell and a second from Councilmember Brackett. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I will.
Just for anyone who may be listening and is not familiar with it, all these indemnifications apply so long as the requester is acting within their area. If they're negligent or something like that, then they're acting within their duties.
Thank you.
What Shane said tonight.
In non-attorney speak, that was very eloquent. Thank you. No, that's good to know. We know that.
Okay.
Thanks.
There are no other comments. I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Newell.
Yes.
Councilmember Burrell.
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson.
Yes.
Councilmember Bracken.
Yes.
And I will. The next item is resolution 2022-11, which is another indemnification that was similar to what Shane explained to us, which former CHP officer. Anyone have any comment, questions that you'd like to bring up?
This is just a new suit from the state, not we have done one previously.
I don't believe that he actually applied for this or that.
Yes, this is a new lawsuit that I would call a companion lawsuit to the one that was filed several years ago by the family of Zane James against Casey Davies, former officer Casey Davies, and the city. This is filed in state court, and just kind of going beyond a bit what Councilmember Bracken stated. Both of these, every time the city requests or accepts a request for defense and indemnity, it reserves its rights to withdraw defense and indemnity if the city subsequently determines that the employee was not acting within the course and scope of his job responsibilities. And so that reservation of rights is built into both the one that was just voted on as well as this resolution 2211.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
No, back to the fancy words version.
Hearing none, I would entertain a motion on resolution 2022-11.
I move that we approve resolution 2022-11, Mayor.
Second.
We have a motion to approve from Councilmember Peterson, a second from Councilmember Bracken. Any other comments or questions? I'll now call for the vote. Councilmember Burrell,
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bracken,
Yes.
Councilmember Newell.
Yes.
I will vote. Okay, our last item of legislation tonight. Consideration of resolution 2022-12 is a resolution approving the disposal of unclaimed property or former evidence. Chief Russo, would you like to explain that for us real quick?
Sure. From time to time, we audit the evidence room and clear out property that has been unclaimed and no longer required or needed as evidence or for court. In this instance, we're talking about a small amount of cash, around $250 that was accumulated from various areas that we have no idea who the owner is. So we're asking the council to consider appropriating the money and directing it towards a worthy cause. Is that the proper term of art?
The statute calls it a public interest use.
There you have it. And we, the police department ask for your support.
Any questions or comments?
No, I think the intention is clear that it is not going to the public. City will be looking at. Probably charity.
The only thing I'm a little unclear on is, I thought I heard this to be the unclaimed property or evidence. I'm just wondering what they're referring to with the evidence part. If you could educate me on that.
Well, in this case, it's a term of art and we're calling it evidence. It wasn't evidence in trial, otherwise we would know who it would belong to, or but it's out of the evidence room. We do have cases where we have evidence and other property that we can't return to the owners, and you'll see those in future requests to dispose of and send to auction. But we do our best to locate the owners, and we have Ms. Melgar advertise it publicly so that we can follow the requirements of the statute. So, thank you.
Mayor, maybe I could just jump in. This is a type of resolution that we would probably put before the council once or twice a year. Stuff is accumulated and it needs to be cleared out. The processes for disposing of found property that's unclaimed and property that's no longer used as evidence are very similar. So we lump them together in this type of resolution. Sometimes they deal with both sides. Sometimes we're actually dealing with both types of property, sometimes one, sometimes the other. So that in this case, it's just, I believe, found property to about $250 in change money, whatever that's been found. We don't know the owner of. I think coming up before you in a few weeks will be maybe another resolution about property that's no longer needed as evidence. So
thank you.
And you'll see this type of resolution again.
Thank you. Good questions. I would now entertain a motion.
Move that we approve resolution 2020.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion to approve from Councilmember Bracken and a second from Councilmember Burrell. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. Councilmember Peterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bracken,
Yes.
Councilmember Newell,
Yes.
Councilmember Burrell.
Yes.
And I will. The next item on our agenda tonight is our consent calendar. And so I would, and which is basically considering approval of the minutes of our January 18th work session business. Could I have a motion to approve these?
I'll motion to approve the minutes from the retreat.
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve from Councilmember Burrell and a second. Questions or comments? All in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that concludes the items on our agenda tonight. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
And I will second that, Mayor.
Motion to adjourn and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?